Hello everyone. Welcome to the physics class. I am Dr. Priya Mishra from GGIC Kalal Kheria, Agra. Physics is a very important subject for the aspirants of JE and NEET both. So we need to get familiar with some basic tools which are required for the study of physics. As we know, physics is the branch of science which deals with the nature and natural phenomena. And for precise description of natural phenomena, it deals with the measurements. Physics is an applied mathematics. So we need to know few mathematical tools. We have to be expert. First of all, formulae. Second, we need to know how to solve any equation, trigonometric ratios, relations, angles, logarithm and anti-logarithms, various functions and limits, derivatives of a function, integration and graphs. We need to know that if a kind of equation is given, then this equation represents which kind of graph. For example, y equals to mx plus c represents line, y equals to ax plus bx square represents a parabola, x square upon a square plus y square upon b square equals to 1 represents an ellipse, and if a and b, these two are same, that becomes x square plus y square equals to a square, that represents a circle. xy equals to c represents rectangular hyperbola. y equals to e power minus kx represents exponential curve. So what kind of graphs comes out, we need to know before studying physics, because these are used at many places in physics. So first of all, we will start with the physics. Today we will deal with motion in one dimension. So mechanics. What is mechanics? Mechanics is the branch of physics which deals with the study of motion of material objects. Now, mechanics has three branches. Statics, branch of mechanics which deals with the study of material objects at rest. Then, kinematics, branch of mechanics which deals with the study of motion of material objects without taking into account the factors causing the motion. That means here we are only dealing with the equations of motions about the motion. We will not bother about the factors, that means forces, the nature of forces, types of forces we will not consider. Dynamics, branch of mechanics which deals with the study of motion of objects taking into account the factors causing the motion. So here we will consider the types of forces, kinds of forces or nature of forces, and here we will discuss about the Newton's laws of motion also. So when we talk about the objects in motion, two words comes a lot of time: rest and motion. Rest and motion, these two words are actually relative. These positions are relative. A person can be at rest in some situation and it can be in motion in other situation. For example, a person sitting in a moving train is at rest with respect to his fellow traveler, which is sitting in the same bogie. So he is at rest, but the same person which is sitting in the train is in motion compared to or with respect to the things or the objects outside the train. So keep in mind, rest and motion are relative words. So now we talk about the types of motion. Now there are three main kinds of motion: rectilinear or translatory motion, in which a body moves along a straight path. Second, circular or rotatory motion, in which a body moves along a circular path. Oscillatory or vibratory motion, in which a body moves around a mean position back and forth or to and fro. So it vibrates. Now, as we all are familiar with the rectangular coordinate system, which has three axes x, y and z, each at right angle. We also call it a three-dimensional system. So based on dimensions, we can say there are motions of three types. Motion in one dimension, where if one dimension out of these three specifies the position of the object, then we call it one-dimensional motion. Like if an object moves only along x-axis or it moves only along y-axis, that means if a body moves in a straight line, we call it one-dimensional motion. For example, a train moving on a railway track or a body dropped from some height. It travels a straight path. Now second one, motion in two dimensions. When two dimensions out of three describes or specifies the position of an object, then we call it a two-dimensional motion. For example, an insect crawling on floor. It is a plane. It is a two-dimensional plane. Same way, if a ball is thrown at some angle and with some velocity, then it moves in two dimensions. It covers some height also and it covers this kind of distance also. So we call this as projectile motion, and this is a two-dimensional motion. Motion in three dimensions. When all the three dimensions specifies the position of the object, we call three-dimensional motion. For example, a kite flying in the sky on a windy day. So this is a three-dimensional motion. Now further we will come across these two words, uniform motion and non-uniform motion. So uniform motion is when a particle or when an object covers equal distances in equal interval of time, then we call it uniform motion. And when an object covers unequal interval of distances in equal interval of times, then we call it non-uniform motion. So next we come to frame of reference. This is very important. Now in general, coordinate system along with a clock constitutes a frame of reference. That means a system of coordinate axis where observer is attached with a clock with it, so that it can describe its position, its displacement, its everything, then we call it a frame of reference. So coordinate system along with a clock. Now frame of reference can be of two types: inertial frame of reference and non-inertial frame of reference. Now inertial frame of reference is the frame of reference which is either at rest or is moving with a constant velocity. As we say, for example, a man sitting inside a bus, either when a bus is at rest, then also this system is inertial frame of reference, and when this bus is moving with a uniform speed, then also we can say that observer sitting inside the bus is constituting the inertial frame of reference. Non-inertial frame of reference. The frame of reference which is accelerating is called non-inertial frame of reference. For example, an object sitting on earth is actually moving. It is continuously changing its velocity with respect to time. So earth, a person, an observer standing on earth and observing the things outside the earth is constituting a non-inertial frame of reference. So mind it, when person is observing the things on happening on the earth and he is also standing on earth, then he constitutes inertial frame of reference. But when person is standing on earth and is observing things outside the earth, then it is constituting non-inertial frame of reference. Now in inertial frame of reference, Newton's laws of motion holds good, whereas in non-inertial frame of reference, Newton's laws of motion do not hold good. Now let us discuss about few other quantities, physical quantities, which we require in motion in one dimension. Distance and displacement. This you already have studied in previous classes, and you know that there are two types of physical quantities. One is a scalar quantity, another is vector quantity. Scalar quantities have only magnitudes, whereas vector quantities have magnitudes and as well as directions attached to them. So distance. Distance is a scalar quantity, and distance is simply the total length of path covered by any object. Whereas displacement is the actual length of path from the starting point to the final point is called the displacement. Let us see, if a boy starts from its home, goes to market, and then reaches his school. Let us say this is A, B, and this is C. So, the distance covered by this boy is AB plus BC. But the displacement is only AC, because AC is the difference between the final position and the initial position. So when we are aware about these two, then we come to speed. Now speed is again a scalar quantity, whereas velocity is vector quantity. Speed is distance divided by time, and its dimensions are m0, l1, t minus 1. This you must have studied, you must have knowledge about units and dimensions. Now compared to speed, velocity's formula is replaced with this. In place of distance, only we have to write displacement. So velocity equals to displacement upon time. Now we come to these things. Uniform speed. Now uniform speed is acquired when a body travels equal distances in equal interval of time. Then we say that body is moving with uniform speed. Variable speed, when a body is covering unequal distances in equal interval of time, or vice versa also we can say, when a body travels equal distances in unequal interval of time, then we say body is moving with variable speed. Now average speed, because sometimes body is slow, sometimes it's moving fast, so the average speed along the whole journey is calculated as the total distance divided by the total time taken. Instantaneous speed is obtained whenever a body is moving with variable speed. So instantaneous, as the name suggests, it is the speed of the body at a particular instant of time. So mathematically we write it change in distance divided by change in time, where the time interval is very small, that is limit is delta t is changing to 0, then we represent it by ds upon dt. In the same way we have these terminologies. Uniform velocity, when a body covers equal displacements in equal interval of time, then we say body is moving with uniform velocity. Variable velocity. Now variable velocity is a condition where either the speed of the body is changing or the direction of the body is changing. Like if a body is moving on a circular path with constant speed, so speed is same, but since position of the body is continuously changing, you can see the direction of the speed is body is changing. So we can say the body is moving with variable velocity. Now average velocity is calculated as the total displacement and traveled and divided by the total time taken. Similarly, when a body is moving with variable velocity, we deal with the instantaneous velocity. Now, instantaneous velocity, Vi, will be displacement, change in displacement divided by change in time, where time is very, very, very small. It is represented as the first derivative of the displacement with respect to time. Now, our speedometer. Speedometer measures the instantaneous speed. So now let us talk about a very important term, relative velocity, which we will come across many times in the numericals. Let us take, there are two bodies which are moving. Since let us take a body A which is moving with velocity VA in right direction. Similarly, body B is moving with velocity VB in the same direction. Then relative velocity of A with respect to B is actually given by VA minus VB. This is in vector form. Actually, we are here only talking about the motion in one dimension, so I will be only writing directly the magnitudes of this. Otherwise, the proper way of doing this is using vector algebra. Since in one dimension either the angle is 0 degree or 180 degree. So the magnitude actually VAB, magnitude of relative velocity will be simply magnitude of A minus magnitude of B. Now, if the same bodies, one is moving in the right direction and the other is moving in the opposite direction, then if you have to find out this relative velocity of A with respect to B will be written like this only. Okay, A with respect to B, this is always VA minus VB, but the magnitude of this will change and this will come out actually VA plus VB, because VB is in the opposite direction of A. Relative means to find out the velocity of one object with respect to the other, and in this you have to take into account their directions. Directions is very necessary. So in this way you have to find out the relative velocity depending on their positions. Either they are in the same direction, then you have to find out their magnitude you have to subtract, and if they are moving in opposite directions, to find out the magnitude you have to add those. Now, graph, as I said, are very important. Now we should know about some graph and we should learn how to extract information from them. So first of all, position time graph. In this, on this x-axis, time is shown, time is increasing in this direction, and on y-axis we show the position. Now, this is the graph for the stationary body, which is stationary at point x naught. Means time is increasing, but body is not changing its position. It is continuously at the same position. So, the graph comes out a straight line parallel to the time axis. This is the graph for uniform motion. As earlier I told you, uniform motion means body is covering equal distances in equal interval of time. Equal distances in equal interval of time. That means as time is increasing, in the same ratio, the position is, or the displacement is also increasing. So in this way, this is the diagram of a body moving in uniform motion starting from origin. If body starts from any other point, then line will be shown like this, that will start from that position. So in this way you find out the velocity. I'll tell you later on. From this position time graph we can find out the velocity of the body. Here I can say that velocity of body is constant. Okay. Now we come to this graph. Here you can see that body was initially at some position, and as the time is increasing, this distance is decreasing. That means body is moving with negative velocity. When this can happen, like body is kept at some distance, and instead of moving further, it is moving backward in the negative direction. Okay, so this is the case where body is moving in the negative direction. That's why we have written negative velocity. Velocity means speed is there, but the direction is opposites. That's why negative velocity. So graph will come down like this. In this graph, the body is moving in a non-uniform motion. Here body is starting from origin at time t equals to 0. It gains some speed, then moves with constant speed or velocity, then brakes are applied, and then it does not change its position and it comes to rest. Time is increasing but the position is not changing. So this is a graph where body starts, gains some constant speed, and then it stops. So in this way, position time graph, we can take out the informations from the given graph. Now, position time graph gives the velocity of the body. Slope of position time graph always gives the velocity. Now, how do we find the slope? As you have learned, let us found slope. So we have to find out 2 points, okay, on the given graph. Let us say this corresponds to time t1, this corresponds to time t2. Now this corresponds to position x1. Let us say this corresponds to position x2. So how do we find the slope? Slope is simply tan, if I show it by theta, tan theta is the slope. This tan theta equals to, from the formula, perpendicular upon base. Now this distance will be x2 minus x1, and this will be t2 minus t1. So we can simply do x2 minus x1 upon t2 minus t1. So from any position time graph or displacement time graph, we can find out velocity by just finding the slope of the graph. If slope is more, the velocity of the body is more. If slope is less, then we can say, like if a slope is shown like this, that of a body A, and another body is moving like this. So just looking at the slopes, we can simply say that body A is moving with lesser velocity compared to the body B. Now we come to velocity time graph. Now here this is the graph for constant or uniform velocity. Mind it, on this is the time axis where time is shown. Now on this y-axis, instead of position, now we are showing the velocity of the body. So this has become now velocity time graph. Now since body is moving with uniform velocity, uniform means constant velocity. So this line is a straight line parallel to time axis, means a particular velocity is maintained throughout. So this is constant velocity. Now this is a diagram for non-uniform velocity, means body is continuously changing its velocity. Now as you see in this first part, that is OA, body is actually moving with some increasing velocity. As time is increasing, velocity is also increasing, you find out. So this is increasing velocity. Then from A to B, a certain velocity is attained and it is maintained till B. So here velocity is constant, and in B to C we see that velocity is decreasing. That means here body is moving with negative velocity in a way. Okay? So in non-uniform velocity we can have a graph of so many slopes. So now what does velocity time graph tell us? Slope of velocity time graph always tells us about the acceleration. Here if you try to find out the slope, v2 minus v1 upon t2 minus t1, v2 minus v1 will come out 0. That means here acceleration is 0. So whenever a body is moving with constant velocity, acceleration will come out 0, because acceleration is simply found out by the slope of the velocity time graph. Now here, if you will find out the slope of this part, this will come out positive. Okay, so this is uniformly accelerated motion. Uniformly acceleration is there. Okay, because velocity is continuously increasing. In this part, you will find out acceleration as 0. And when you will calculate the acceleration for this part, this will come out negative. So here it is deceleration. After attaining some velocity, this is going to 0, means it is stopping. So deceleration is there, or retardation is there. The another thing which we can find out from the velocity time graph is the displacement of the body. Now, like, we must be given some points between which we have to calculate the time during which we have to calculate the displacement of the body. Let us say if we are given, for this graph, calculate the displacement of body from time t1 to t2. So displacement is found out simply finding the area enclosed inside between these two time intervals. Okay, the graph and the time interval. So you have to find out actually the area of this rectangle. When we come to this, here, if you are asked to find out the displacement during 0 to A point, then you have to actually find out the area of this triangle. You have to use your normal formulas. So this is the displacement during OA. Okay. Now if you have to find out displacement in during AB position, so you will find out area of this a rectangle. Same way, if you have to find out the displacement of the whole, in the whole journey, what was the displacement, then you have to actually calculate the area of the total figure. Now we come to acceleration time graph. That means on x-axis time will be shown, and on y-axis acceleration is given. If you have a straight line like this at an angle, then this is the graph for uniformly accelerated motion. That means acceleration is constant. Acceleration is constant. Okay. Same way, if you have a graph continuously changing, then this is non-uniformly accelerated motion. Now, non-uniformly accelerated motion or non-uniformly velocity time graph, if you have to find out some instantaneous velocity, instantaneous acceleration, instantaneous word when comes, that then you have to actually find out that particular quantity in that particular time interval. So if interval is given like t1 or t2, you have to find out the values from the y-axis, and you have to simply find out the slope of this region. Okay, so in this way we can find out the instantaneous acceleration at that in this interval. What is the instantaneous acceleration? Now let us say we have been given these types of graphs. Then just to look at this, and you have to tell me what kind of graph is this. Just look at, here it is time, here it is position. So this is actually, you can say body is starting from some position and its position is continuously increasing. Yeah? So this is actually the position time graph for accelerated motion and accelerated motion. Acceleration is positive here. Here I can say acceleration is negative. Dhire dhire distance is decreasing. Now here I can say that this is the position time graph for where thing where acceleration is 0. Acceleration is 0 because position is uniformly increasing. So acceleration is 0. Now we'll discuss about some formulae for uniformly accelerated motion. These formulae you have already studied in class 9th and 10th, and you have done numericals also. This, you are familiar with this. V equals to u plus at, where the symbols have their usual meanings. U is initial velocity, v is final velocity, a is uniform acceleration. Here we are considered about uniformly accelerated motion. Wherever there it is retardation or deceleration, we'll put a minus sign along with this. T is time interval and s is the distance traveled. So these three equations, you all know, these are the equations of motion. S equals to ut plus half at square, v square minus u square equals to 2s. And this is the equation to calculate distance traveled in nth second, where this is equal to u plus a upon 2 2n minus 1. So in this, based on these are the numericals given. So if we have to find out anything which in an equation form, and derivative may we have to find out, if displacement is shown in x and we have to find out velocity, we know velocity equals to dx upon dt in a derivative form. Sometimes in competitions any equation is given, like it is given like this: x, a position of an object is shown like this. You have to find out the velocity of the body at some instant. So if an equation like this is given, you have to use your formula like this, because we know velocity is actually the slope of position time graph. So v equals to dx upon dt. Similarly, acceleration will be dv upon dt. So if any kind this kind of questions are given, we have to find out velocity and acceleration like this. So hope this will help you, and I will share a few questions in this, and please go through them and understand the topic properly and try to answer those questions.